asparagus farm, and we diversified into about 40 or 50 different crops, some permaculture, some row crops, all directed towards building and conserving soil and making good food out of that. So I think if you do the right thing, then the vegetables are pretty good too. So we're going to walk down the road here. It's a little slippery, please don't wipe out. And then Janet shows up, we'll split. One group will go up and another one will be used as a cash crop. They're like nurse trees. In this case, their leaves and their roots feed the coffee, and they provide shade for the coffee as well. And so that really makes for a better quality of coffee, which you'll have at the end of the season. And so we use a lot of these trees. They're just called nitrogen fixers. They range from these that are from Guatemala, Madre de Cacao, called the Gliricidia. They grow really well over here. They grow about 15 to 20 feet a year. So that's just like solar-powered stuff that you can take in a solid form, put it through your chipper, and turn it into organic matter back in your soil. Right? Which is what we do a lot of. You have to in a tropical environment because it's so warm, and agriculture disturbs that whole ecosystem. So you want to do what you can to restore it or regenerate it as you go. So we'll just walk into here for a little bit. On Molokai, it's a really nice, relatively low coffee, heat tolerant with a really excellent cup quality, a lot more body than say a Typica variety, which is grown in some of the islands, but especially in Kona.
And this is what variety again?
Catuai, C-A-T-U-A-I. It's originally from Brazil. And we're just coming into our harvest season. Our first harvest is usually late October, November, a bit of a gap, and then January through March. This is going to be a really light year because of the poor spring rains, which induced flowering, which we didn't get this year, so we had very low flowering. So we probably have 25-30% of our normal crop. But that's, you live by the weather, right?
So what kind of yield are you expecting?
We'd be lucky if we get a couple hundred pounds this year.
I see.
Yeah. But that's one of the reasons for having a diverse farm, is that you're not relying strictly
On an item.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although this takes a lot of time. This should be a little bit better pruned and everything. But you notice all the mulch that you're walking through it. The mulch and the shade are able to outcompete the weeds. So there's some weeds in here, but I don't really sweat them. We'll walk by the chickens at the end. Some people wanted to see the chickens. That's a chicken tractor. It's a mobile pen with some egg-laying hens in it. And they do laps back and forth down. And it works great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's totally cool.
That's pretty easy, huh? It's not on
And then
wheels.
they get a lot of vegetable
It's not on wheels. It's not on wheels, so you have to have how many people to pick it up and move it? Oh, he's gone.
Probably two. It's pretty light.
Yeah.
It's bird netting.
Yeah.
It's
PVC.
it's
PVC.
It's not
Bird
heavy
netting.
duty.
Bird netting is way cheaper
Wow.
than the chicken wire we've been looking at buying for ours. The PVC is easy.
Yeah.
Some of them are yellow. All the coffee cherries, when they're perfectly ripe, have a dark red color to them. They're nice and sweet. And you get your eye and your tongue dialed in. And then we also have ones that are yellow catuai. And there's some that are salmon colored. The ones up where the pizza oven place is, I think that's going to be, those are all salmon colored. And so it takes a little bit to get used to all those. They're all hand picked, okay? So when you think about that, I forget exactly how many beans it is per cup, but a typical pound should have something like 50 or 60 cups of coffee in it.
Now your different varieties, they're not all going to go off at the same time.
It's pretty close except for the yellow catuai, which tends to be moved towards the end of the harvest. So that probably has some leverage on the flavor, but we don't have the facilities to keep them separate and kind of just hold on to everything and then mix it back in at some predetermined amount. We haven't gone that far. So it's just whatever comes off the farm gets processed and sold. And so it's sort of a dynamic cup. It'll change a little bit through the season and from season to season. But that's wine does the same thing, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Water, everything. It's a variable.
Yeah. Like a Costco tent
I have to
frame
put
or
the
a
whole
gazebo,
thing.
put that up and just put this netting over that.
All right.
That'll keep the whitey eyes off too.
Get that in a 4-foot roll. A roll.
Yeah, Lowe's has it consistently. At least they do before I get there.
Yeah, we need something for our chickens.
Yeah.
That's a good.
All food for our farm. And so this is all going to go through that orange machine, which is a chipper. And then it gets turned into smaller particles, and it gets mixed with food waste from a restaurant, fish waste, culls from our farm, etc. And we make piles of compost. And as much of what you produce tonight and that our chefs produce tonight as possible that we could capture goes back into that. That's the future of humanity, I believe, is being able to create compost that reinvigorates and restores soils. And we have the capability to do it, and we need more of the political will. But so I have my own will here, right? My wife and I do together. So compost is essential, so we do it in there. If anyone wants to, I thought maybe you can put stuff down. Anyone want to come and yak about the compost piles, we could do that. I think there's pizza and flatbread over there. And the washroom, you can't really see it from here. It's a small bamboo enclosure. It's just uphill of where the table is. And it's got instructions in there, and I'm sure you're all capable of using it.
Sounds interesting.
Okay. So are there any questions? Some of them it doesn't matter. Some of them it's like game over. Like the eggplants, forget it. The mites get on there, and it's a battle on your hands. They're very difficult to get rid of. So we're actually using some of that federal funding to put this down as a dust mitigation thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
You never thought of growing vines?
Vines?
Yeah, wine,
Oh, wine.
grapevines.
Oh, we might do some wine. I mean, not wine. We might do some table grapes. I don't think we'll do wine. We sort of do the lilikoi. That's kind of our grape. And someone asked about deer. My father-in-law, this used to all be corn and asparagus now. So this is that was the palette, and or the wallpaper, and we changed it. So he had deer coming in and trashing all the corn that he was growing. So he put up a 4-foot hog wire fence with a single strand of barbed wire, and we've had one deer in here in 10 years.
Wow.
And they're not getting chased here. They're not on a regular feeding path or something, but they just got the juju that they don't come in here. I don't know what it is. Some new stuff growing out. There you go. It's ready to plant. So we planted about 18 months ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Annabelle, Pierre.
Lilikoi spray.
The shanks, the ribs, it's parts of the neck, it's all the really tough stuff that you have to cook for a very long time. And we cook them in lamb stock. And then we pull the meat apart, reduce that braising liquid down to a glaze, toss it back in there, the little bit of coconut milk, and then lots of different ingredients that we got from the farm. So you'll find black-eyed peas in there, red onion, black-eyed peas, red onion, lots of the elephant grape. Tons of it in there. And then it's finished off with a little bit of butter. So it's held together by gelatin, so as soon as it gets hot, it just kind of melts. It's good with bread.